Today I'm going to explain and demonstrate the three-step process for cleaning, sealing and maintaining natural polished stone. The first process being Grimex, which is your initial clean. This prepares and conditions your surfaces prior to sealing. We then have a product called MPG sealer, which is used for sealing the very micro pores of a mechanically polished surface. The good thing about MPG sealer is it doesn't greatly alter the appearance of the stone once you have used it. And then we have the correct maintenance, which is wax wash. This is a pH neutral detergent that has had no damaging effect on the polished finish. It also contains a trace of linseed oil, which is superb for conditioning as well. As you can see, this newly laid stone surface, we've got lots of sediment and residue from the fixing process on the surface. The best way to condition this and prepare it ready for sealing is LTP Grimex. What you do is you just apply a little bit of Grimex to the surface, like so, and then taking a sponge and some water, we add a little bit of water, like so, and then a white emulsifying pad is then used to agitate the surface. This helps to release all the sort of dust and the sediment from the surface of the stone. The cleaner itself won't have any effect on the mechanically polished finish of the stone. To make it easier, you can actually add a little bit more water, and you can see the actual cleaner itself foaming up on the surface as it works into the dirt and the grime. Now we leave that for 5 to 10 minutes. Then to finish, you simply get a sponge and water and you rinse it off, like so, to take up all the released dirt and the grime, which you can actually see in the sponge there. Step 2 is sealing, and for this we're going to use MPG sealer. It's very, very easy to apply. You simply put a small amount on the surface of the polished stone. You then take your sealant applicator, which is this item here, and this spreads it very evenly over the surface of the stone, making sure to force the sealer into the micro pores of the polished surface. Once it's been applied, you leave it for up to 20 minutes on the surface of the stone. This gives the sealer enough time to penetrate into the pores of the polished surface. Now to finish, you place your microfiber cloth on the floor, you get the pad and you just gently buff the surface. And the buffing forces the sealer into the polished surface of the stone and takes off all the excess from the surface. Now this process needs to be repeated, probably on this type of stone, about 3 times until the pores of the stone are completely filled. If you want to, you can actually just finish any remaining residues by hand, and the excess sealer comes off very easily. And to check that all the excess sealer is removed from the surface, just take your fingertips and run them across the surface. If it's nice and smooth, basically there is no excess. If you get some resistance and you can see your finger marks in it, you need to buff a bit more. Quite often, if MPG sealer is over-applied, it will leave a sort of greasy film on the surface. This, if you're just buffing it, once it's dry on the surface, can be difficult to move, because when you're buffing it like this, all it does is shift around on the surface, and it's very difficult to take up. If this should happen, all you need to do is actually add a little bit more sealer to the surface of the stone, like so, just a very small amount, and the solvent that is in the sealer will help to break down the excess that is sitting on the surface and make removal much easier. And you can see, you can actually feel it when you buff it. And then just to finish, you take the microfiber cloth and you just buff it. And to test that you've got all of the excess off of the surface of the stone, all you need to do is get your fingertips again and wipe it over the surface, and you can see that there's no mark. And finally, correct maintenance for mechanically polished surface for everyday maintenance. This cleaner ensures that it's looked after but doesn't actually damage or affect the polished surface. 1 capful per litre of water. Replace the cap and just mix up the solution in the bucket and mop your surfaces. Take your mop and just gently mop your surfaces. And what you will find with polished materials is that with any cleaner you'll get application marks, which are these lines that appear after mopping. So quite often with a polished material you then have to just give it a buff. Again, you can use a microfiber cloth and just gently go across the surface to take up the excess moisture and finish the surface of the stone. And the linseed oil that is in the cleaner conditions and maintains the surface of the stone without damaging.